I never thought the man I loved would become my worst nightmare. But here I am, about to tell you something that still makes my hands shake. What I discovered that night changed everything I thought I knew about trust, love, and survival. And I promise you, this gets way darker than you think. My name is Sarah, and 6 months ago, I was living what I thought was a perfect life with my boyfriend, Derek. We'd been together for 2 years. He was charming, successful, and everyone loved him. My friends thought I was lucky. My mom adored him. But nobody knew what was happening behind our apartment door. It started so small I barely noticed. About 4 months into living together, Derek suggested I take these vitamins he bought. "Baby, you've been so tired lately," he'd say, handing me 2 white pills with my evening tea. "These will help you sleep better. Trust me." And I did trust him. Why wouldn't I? The first week, I slept like I'd never slept before. Deep, dreamless sleep. I'd wake up feeling groggy, but Derek said that was normal. "Your body's adjusting," he'd whisper, kissing my forehead. "Give it time." But things got weird fast. I started losing chunks of time. I'd go to bed at 10 and wake up at 7, but it felt like I'd been unconscious for days. My muscles would ache. Sometimes I'd find bruises I couldn't explain. Once, I woke up in different pajamas than I'd worn to bed. Another time, my hair was in a braid, and I never braid my hair before sleeping. When I asked Derek about it, he looked at me with such concern. "Sarah, you've been sleepwalking. Don't you remember? I had to change your clothes because you spilled water all over yourself. You braided your hair while you were half asleep. Babe, I'm getting worried about you." I didn't remember any of it, and that terrified me more than anything. My friends started commenting too. "You seem off lately," my best friend Maya said over coffee one afternoon. "Like you're not really there. Your eyes look glazed over half the time." She was right. I felt like I was living in a fog, like I was watching my own life happen from behind a thick glass wall. My work performance was slipping. I'd forget entire conversations. My boss pulled me aside twice to ask if everything was okay at home. But every time I considered stopping those pills, Derek would get this look. Not angry, just disappointed and hurt. "I'm just trying to help you, babe. I spent so much money on these vitamins. Why don't you trust me? Don't you know I only want what's best for you?" The guilt would eat at me. He seemed so genuine, so caring. So I kept taking them. Until 3 weeks ago, when my world fell apart. I was scrolling through my phone, looking for a photo to send to Maya, when I accidentally opened Derek's cloud storage. We'd shared our accounts early in our relationship, one of those couple things that seemed sweet at the time. What I found made my blood run cold. Photos. Dozens and dozens of photos I didn't remember taking. They were all of me, sleeping. My eyes closed, completely unconscious, in different positions, different outfits, different rooms of our apartment. Some were close-ups of my face. Others showed my whole body. But it got worse. The metadata showed they were taken over the past 3 months. All of them from Derek's phone. And they weren't just casual snapshots. They were staged, posed, like someone was documenting me, studying me. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I kept scrolling and found folders, labeled folders. Week 1, Week 2, going all the way up to Week 14. Each folder had dozens of images. Why would he take photos of me sleeping? What else was happening while I was unconscious? And why was he organizing them like some kind of twisted project? I felt sick. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I barely recognized the person staring back. I looked exhausted, hollow, like someone had drained the life out of me. That's when I decided to do something that probably saved my life. I couldn't confront Derek directly. Something told me that would be dangerous. Instead, I had to know the truth. I had to see what was really happening in those hours I couldn't remember. The next night, when Derek handed me those pills with my usual cup of tea, I smiled like I had every night for months. I put them in my mouth, but I didn't swallow. I tucked them between my cheek and gum, took a big sip of tea, and pretended to swallow. "Good girl," he said, and something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. He'd never used that phrase before, not like that. It sounded possessive, controlling. I went to our bedroom, spit the pills into a tissue, and hid them in my nightstand. Then I lay down and did my best acting job ever. I slowed my breathing, kept my eyes closed, made my body go completely limp, just like I'd been for months without knowing it. And I waited, For the first hour, nothing happened. I could hear Derek in the living room, watching TV like it was any normal night. But around 9:30, he came into the bedroom. I felt him standing over me, watching. Then he lifted my arm and let it drop. It took everything in me not to react, to let my arm fall like dead weight. He said my name, loudly. Sarah! Sarah! I didn't move. He did it 2 more times over the next hour. Each time, he'd test me differently. Once he shook my shoulder hard. Another time he turned on the bright overhead light. When I didn't respond to any of it, he'd leave, seemingly satisfied. This wasn't love. This wasn't a boyfriend checking on his sleeping girlfriend. This was someone conducting tests, making sure I was completely unconscious. Around midnight, I heard our bedroom door open again. Through my barely open eyelids, I watched Derek approach the bed. But he wasn't alone. There was another man with him. Tall, maybe in his 40s, wearing a dark jacket. A complete stranger in our bedroom while I was supposed to be unconscious. "She's completely out?" the stranger asked, his voice low and clinical. "Like always," Derek responded, and I'd never heard him sound like that before. Cold. Businesslike. Nothing like the man who whispered sweet things in my ear. "She'll be down for at least 6 more hours. These new pills are even better than the last batch." My mind was screaming. Every instinct told me to run, to scream, to fight. But I stayed perfectly still, forcing myself to breathe slowly and evenly. I had to know what was happening. I had to understand what I'd been living through. The stranger walked around our bed slowly, looking at me from different angles like I was an object in a store. "And she has no idea? No suspicions at all?" Derek laughed. It was a sound I'd never heard from him before, cold, cruel, satisfied. Nothing like the warm laugh I'd fallen in love with. None whatsoever. I'd been documenting everything, just like we discussed. The photos, the videos, the timeline. She's absolutely perfect for the project. Trusting. Isolated from her family, completely dependent on me. Videos. There were videos, too. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to scream. But I couldn't move a muscle. "The client's paying top dollar for this level of authenticity," the stranger continued, pulling out a camera I hadn't noticed before. Unconscious subjects, long-term documentation, the boyfriend angle, the genuine trust factor. It's exactly what the premium market wants. Your girlfriend here is about to make us both very rich. Premium market. They were talking about me like I was a commodity, a product to be sold. Derek pulled out his phone, and I watched through my barely open eyes as he started showing the stranger something on the screen. I've got content from the last 3 months. Different outfits, different scenarios, different rooms. She trusts me completely. Never suspects a thing. I even convinced her she's been sleepwalking to explain any weird evidence. They were selling content of me, my unconscious body, for months. And Derek had been gaslighting me the entire time, making me think I was losing my mind, that I was sick, that I needed his help. The stranger moved closer to the bed, and I could smell his cologne. Expensive, suffocating. "Let's start with the standard shots. Then we'll move to the requested scenarios. The client wants variety tonight." That's when panic truly set in. I didn't know what requested scenarios meant, but I knew I had maybe seconds to make a decision. They were about to do something to me, and I was supposed to be unconscious, helpless, unable to stop them. As the stranger's hand reached toward me, I made my move. I grabbed the heavy lamp from my nightstand and swung it with everything I had. The sound of breaking glass and the stranger's scream filled the room. He stumbled backward, blood streaming from his head, crashing into our dresser. Derek lunged at me, his face twisted into something I didn't recognize, but I was already moving. Adrenaline does crazy things to your body. I'd never been a fighter. I'd never even been in a real fight before. But in that moment, survival took over. I kicked Derek hard, right where it counts, and he doubled over with a groan. I ran for the bedroom door. My phone was in the living room. I'd left it there on purpose earlier, trying to seem like I had no suspicions, like it was just a normal night. I could hear them behind me. Derek was yelling. The stranger was cursing. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped my phone as I grabbed it from the coffee table. I dialed 911 with trembling fingers. 911, what's your emergency? My boyfriend has been drugging me. I screamed into the phone, my voice breaking. There's a man in my apartment. They've been taking pictures and videos of me while I was unconscious. They were about to. I don't know what they were going to do. Please, please send help. Please. The operator's voice was calm, professional, but I could hear the urgency underneath. Where are you now, ma'am? Are you safe? Can you get out of the apartment? I could hear Derek and the stranger talking in low, urgent voices in the bedroom. I knew if I tried to leave the apartment, they'd catch me in the hallway. I needed to lock myself somewhere. I'm going to the bathroom, I told the operator. It's the only room with a lock. I ran, locked the bathroom door behind me, and pushed our laundry hamper against it for extra security. It wouldn't hold them for long, but maybe long enough. I'm in the bathroom, I said, giving the operator my address. They're still here. They're trying to figure out what to do. Please hurry. Please. Officers are on their way, ma'am. They're 3 minutes out. Stay on the line with me. What are their names? Can you describe them? I told her everything. About Derek, about the stranger, about the pills, the photos, the videos, everything that was pouring out of me in a terrified rush. That's when Derek started pounding on the bathroom door. Sarah, he yelled, and his voice kept changing, angry, then pleading, then angry again. Sarah, baby, let me explain. It's not what you think. That guy, he broke in. I was trying to protect you. You're confused from your sleepwalking. Please, just open the door and we can talk about this. Even then, even after everything, part of me wanted to believe him. That's how deep the manipulation went. 2 years of love and trust don't disappear in an instant, even when you know the truth. But I heard the stranger in the background. We need to leave. Now. The cops are coming. I can't just leave, Derek hissed back. She knows everything. She's seen everything. Then we really need to go. Right now. I heard footsteps, a door slamming. The stranger had run. But Derek stayed, probably realizing he was already caught. That running would only make things worse. Sarah, please, he said through the door, his voice softer now. I love you. You know I love you. This is all a big misunderstanding. Just come out and we'll fix this together. Those next few minutes felt like hours. I stayed on the phone with the operator, listening to Derek's voice cycle through every emotion, every manipulation tactic he'd probably used on me for 2 years without me realizing. When I finally heard the sirens, I started crying. Not gentle tears, full-body sobs that I'd been holding in for months without even knowing it. Sobs for the person I'd been, for the trust I'd lost, for the violation I'd endured while unconscious. The police broke down the bathroom door and found me huddled in the corner, still on the phone with the operator. A female officer wrapped a blanket around my shoulders and led me out. Derek was already in handcuffs in the living room, yelling about misunderstandings and rights and how much he loved me. But his eyes, when he looked at me, I saw something I'd never seen before. Hatred. Pure hatred that I'd ruined his plan. But I also saw his phone on the coffee table unlocked. The police saw it too. What they found on that phone, and later on his laptop and external hard drives, was worse than I could have imagined. Hundreds of photos, thousands of photos, videos, hours and hours of videos of me unconscious. The detective later told me there was over 50 hours of footage. But it wasn't just documentation. There were chat rooms where he'd been selling access to this content. Encrypted messages with a stranger, whose name I learned was Marcus, planning what they called escalated scenarios and custom requests from clients. There were financial records showing Derek had made over $40,000 selling content of me over 3 months. The pills weren't vitamins. The lab analysis showed they were a custom mixture of sedatives, strong enough to keep someone unconscious for 8 to 10 hours with no memory formation. The police found enough pills in our apartment to last 6 more months. Derek had been planning this from the very beginning. The detective showed me his search history from 2 years ago, right before we met. How to find a trusting girlfriend. Best dating apps for relationships. How to isolate someone from their family. Sedatives that don't show up on standard drug tests. Our entire relationship was a lie. The coffee shop where we randomly met? He followed me there for 3 days, learning my routine. The charm, the love bombing, the moving in together quickly. It was all part of his plan. I wasn't his girlfriend. I was his product, his business, his victim. The detective assigned to my case, a woman named Detective Rodriguez, held my hand in the police station and told me something that still haunts me. Sarah, you're one of the lucky ones. We've been tracking this network for 8 months. Most victims don't wake up. Most never find out at all. Some disappear completely. That thought keeps me up at night. How many women are out there right now, thinking they're in loving relationships, not knowing they're being drugged and exploited? The investigation Derek's arrest triggered was massive. They found his connection to a whole network of people doing this. Normal-looking guys with normal-looking girlfriends, drugging them, exploiting them, selling content to sick people on the dark web. Marcus was caught trying to leave the state. When they searched his place, they found evidence of 4 other victims. 4 other women who thought they were in loving relationships. The trial was 3 months ago. I had to testify, had to sit in a courtroom and describe what happened while Derek stared at me. His lawyer tried to paint me as a willing participant, as someone who knew and consented. They tried to destroy me all over again. But the evidence was overwhelming. The pills, the photos, the videos, the financial records, the messages, the other victims who came forward. Derek got 15 years. Marcus got 12. The 3 other men they arrested in the network got between 8 and 20 years. It doesn't feel like enough. It'll never feel like enough. How do you put a price on stolen time, on violation, on the loss of trust in humanity? But here's what I want you to understand, and why I'm telling this story to whoever's watching. I'm not sharing this for sympathy. I'm not looking for pity. I'm sharing this because someone watching this video might be living through something similar right now, and they don't even know it. Maybe you're reading the signs I ignored. Maybe you're making excuses for someone who doesn't deserve them. Maybe you're feeling crazy because things don't add up, but everyone tells you you're overthinking. If you're feeling tired all the time for no reason, if you're losing chunks of time, if you're finding things moved or changed and you don't remember doing it, if someone in your life is pushing pills or drinks on you and getting upset when you refuse, if you're waking up with unexplained bruises or soreness, if your partner gets weird about you seeing doctors alone, please trust your gut. I ignored so many red flags because I loved him, because I trusted him, because I thought questioning him meant I was a bad girlfriend, because he made me feel guilty for having boundaries. That almost destroyed my life. Since this happened, I've been in therapy 3 times a week. I've moved to a different city. I've changed my name legally. I don't sleep well anymore. The irony isn't lost on me. Some nights I don't sleep at all because I'm terrified of being unconscious. But I'm alive. I'm safe. And I'm healing, slowly. The detective told me that my case helped them shut down 3 other operations just like Derek's. 3 other women were pulled out of situations just like mine because I pretended to take those pills that night. One of them reached out to me through the victim's advocate. She said I saved her life. She'd been drugged for 6 months and was starting to think she was losing her mind. That's why I'm telling the story. That's why I'm putting my face and my voice out there, even though it's terrifying. So to anyone out there who's feeling like something's wrong but can't quite put your finger on it, you're not crazy. Your instincts exist to protect you. That little voice that says something's off, listen to it. And to Derek, if you're somehow watching this from prison, you didn't break me. You tried. You spent 2 years trying. But I'm still here. I'm still standing. And I'm making sure everyone knows what monsters like you can look like. Because that's the scariest part. They don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like the person who brings you coffee in bed. The person who says they love you. The person everyone else thinks is perfect. Trust is beautiful. Love is beautiful. But your safety is sacred. Your consciousness is sacred. Your right to know what's happening to your own body is sacred. Never forget that. This is my story. This is my truth. And if it helps even one person recognize the danger they're in, if it helps even one person trust their gut and get out, then every terrifying second of that night was worth it. Stay safe out there. Pay attention to the signs. And please, if you ever feel like something's wrong, it probably is. You deserve to be conscious in your own life. You deserve to remember your own experiences. You deserve a love that doesn't require you to be unconscious to exist. Don't settle for anything less.